Hey guys, I'm going to just try and do it fast because my camera is being a douchey, so I'm going to actually just let you guys know what books I read and what I think of them and my ratings, and I only read 5 books, so I'm going to get started. The first book that I did read in July was Diary of a Submissive by Sophie Morgan. This was graciously provided by Penguin Publishing, and it is a BDSM erotic novel kind of adult book, and they talk about it being in the same league as 50 Shades of Grey. Now, I tried to read 50 Shades of Grey. I stopped at 18 pages because I just could not be asked reading that much about something that was just stupid in the first place. No offense to people who love 50 Shades of Grey, but I think I would rather spend 500 pages reading something else. And I kind of feel the same way about this book. I am curious about these kinds of books all the time, especially since, I just am, I guess. Basically, this is about Sophie Morgan and her journey into being a submissive and finding herself in that BDSM lifestyle. Again, it is for adults. And it goes into in some detail, I guess, about her relationships with 2 men over a period of, a couple of years, college, actually 3 men, through college until her adulthood, and what those relationships meant to her, what they did in extensive detail, and it was boring. It was 300 pages of, she was just defensive all the time, and I felt like what she was saying about herself and how strong she was and her personality and everything like that just didn't match up with the way that she was acting and the way that she handled everything when she was being treated the way she was, even though that is the kind of dynamics of a submissive and dominant relationship. If you aren't aware what a submissive and dominant relationship is, go research it, Google it. I'm pretty sure you can read about it in 50 Shades of Grey. But basically, I just felt like it was off, and I didn't agree with the dynamics either. And I know that's a personal thing, and everyone can take this with a grain of salt, I guess. But for me, I felt like the man in her life was actually overstepping boundaries, and I just didn't like that at all. I did not like it at all, and it was like 300 pages long, and it felt like the same situations were being rehashed over and over again. There's spanking involved, and pretty much it scopes the whole 300 pages pretty much about her being spanked in as many ways as possible with as many items as you can possibly find, and I was like, no. Okay, I've had enough. But I got through it, and I think I gave it 2 stars, which is piss poor in my opinion of the book. So if you are interested in reading that, thumbs up, but I would definitely recommend not reading it. Don't waste your time, honestly. I'm pretty sure there's lots of books out there, much better books that will explain if you're interested in that area, or if you just actually generally like reading that genre. So definitely steer clear of it. But if you do happen to read it by chance, or you're just interested, let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought of the characters, or rather the narrator, and her situations and what she went through. Because I would be interested to see if I have the same thoughts, or you have the same thoughts, or if you've got different thoughts. So definitely welcome to that. Okay, moving swiftly on from that horrible book that I read. Then I read, not all after each other, but I read Hooked by Catherine Greenman. Now this is about obviously teen pregnancy, and I could not get past the first few chapters without straining my eyes and rolling my eyes and going, I hate the way that she is writing. But after the first 3 chapters, I really loved it. I got over this whole thing I built up about some contemporary styles. There's just some I can't stand. But it started to make a little bit more sense. The characters grew on me. Not so much that I loved the characters, because I still felt a lot of distance throughout the whole novel. Her parents were douches honestly, and the only person who really had any redeeming qualities in this book was her father, but at the same time I did like hearing her story, and I just loved it. I don't know why I didn't like the characters, but I loved the story, and I loved how it progressed and how they come together, and the ending is so beautiful. It's just so sweet, and her mother, again, back to the parents, I could just punch her. She was so hypocritical, so self-absorbed and bitchy and nasty, and even throughout her pregnancy and when the child was born, it was just... And Will, the love interest or the character, just pissed me off. And there is a situation in this book where he kind of questions her ability as a mother, and I was like, hell no, you don't do that. So this book was good for me because it actually challenged me, and I love books that do that. I love books that make me think about my own moral, like how I would approach this, how I would approach that if it was my friend, or, you know, just things like that. So I love books that do that, and so I think this got a 4 or 5 stars. Can't remember, but it was good. And I know a lot of people haven't read it, so I guess you either hate it or love it from what I've heard of it, but I definitely would recommend you pick it up and check it out. So that is Hooked by Catherine Greenman. I'm just going to turn on the light because it's dark. Then, without going into too much detail, I read Sweet Evil and Evil at Heart by Chelsea Cain, second and the third book. The third book I gave 3.5 stars because it did not hit my scale. I liked it, but I didn't love it. The characters it just felt like a transition book to me. It was very slow moving. It was interesting to the point, like, there was lots of twists and turns, but it just wasn't anything that grabbed me. Pretty much the last few chapters were the most exciting parts of the book, for me, anyway. So I gave that 3.5 stars, and then, I read Sweetheart first, which is the second book. This book was amazing. Everything about this book just makes me smile. And it's a bit weird because it's a serial killer book, and there are people getting killed, there are people being butchered and stuff like that, but I love Gretchen. I just love her. I love her as a character. I love Archie and Gretchen together. The dynamic in this book was mind-blowing. And I felt like I'm wordless about this book. I just have no words. It is one of my favourite books. If you have not read the series, please do. If you have read the series and you know, or have read Sweetheart, let me know what your thoughts are about the book, because I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I loved it. I loved the atmosphere, the Portland atmosphere. It's just rainy and horrible, and it just works so well. And I don't know what I'm talking about, really, but I just love it. So I think you guys can pretty much tell that this was one of my favourite books of July. And I'm losing my voice because I've been making a couple of videos like this over and over again to try and get my point across, and I can never do it, but I love this book. Passionate! And then lastly, I just finished this yesterday, I believe. It is Burned by Ellen Hopkins. 4 stars for me. I did like it. I didn't love it. It angered me to no end. It frustrated me. It made me so emotional. I wanted to punch someone. It made me cringe. It just brought up so many thoughts in my head, so many things I wanted to question, so many things I did question. This book challenged me as well, and I love books that challenge me, like I said, and Burn did. So Ellen Hopkins wrote this book beautifully. I was so scared to read it because of the size and just the whole never reading a verse book, but it flowed so wonderfully, and now I know why people love her writing, because it just flows. There were a few pages where the style was a little off kilter for my brain, but I moved through it. It did take me a long while to read this because I had to put it down, mostly because it's very heavy and awkward to hold, but also because the subject matter just really infuriated me and I had to sit down and think about it a lot. I was like, oh, how could this girl go through these things? And I know what it feels like. I honestly know what that controlling, abusive behaviour feels like. So it was painful to read about. It was painful to see in a teenage girl. And I think that religion's a very picky topic for me because I just don't like that kind of behaviour. And it happens more often than we know. So that was kind of a very uneasy thing for me reading about, and I didn't know whether I could cope with it because I know people who have gone through similar things, and I know Mormons, and I know situations outside of religion that have happened in like these kind of circumstances, and it just makes me so angry. But Ellen Hopkins wrote it in a really magnificent way, but I didn't love it. It didn't completely enthrall me to the point that I just wanted to eat this book. But it did very, very affect me. It affected me in a lot of ways, and I think it will affect people who read it. I don't know anyone who has read this book and not been affected by it. But if you guys know any other Ellen Hopkins books that would be a good second starter to go from, let me know, because I'm interested in reading another one of her books, but I'm not sure which one I should go for next, or which one I should purchase. So, if you guys have any suggestions, I would really love to hear them. But that is Burned by Ellen Hopkins. Okay, so that is pretty much my wrap up. I know I haven't been reading lately. I think I mentioned it in my previous video that I'm working a lot on supernatural fiction and doing some research for that. I also have my course, and I'm also getting back into writing in general, hopefully starting to work on some projects, and I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm pretty excited about reading some books in August. I'm not really sure how I'm doing with my challenge. I think I'm at 46 books, and I am behind, but I'm okay with that. So I'm thinking I might slim it down to try and get to 80 books this year, but I'm still going to keep pushing by and see if I can get to 100. But it's like coming to the end of the year, and I'm sort of starting to reconsider whether or what kind of books I want to end the year with. And a lot of the books that I had planned at the beginning of the year are still sitting on my shelf. So it has been one hell of a year, and I can't believe it's August, or it's going to be August in like 2 days. So anyway, guys, I will stop taking up space on the internet. And yeah, if you've read any of these books, these ones are my physical copies of them. Let me know. And if you get around to reading The Diary of a Submissive by Sophie Morgan, and you actually want to voice your opinions loudly or softly, just let me know. So so thank you guys for watching, and if there's anything you want me to make like more detailed reviews, just let me know and I will. Okay guys, I love you all, and I shall see you later.